Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. We're sorry about the delay. We were going to be on about 10 minutes earlier, but I ran into some sound problems. So do apologize for all that. We are working right now on getting everything up and running. And again, very, very sorry about all this. My partner in crime this evening is Ruben Christopher Haynes. He should be here momentarily. We're going to go ahead and start setting everything up. So give me just 1 second here. I think Ruben should be coming back in momentarily. I think we've got this whole thing straightened out now. So again, apologies for the fact that we're late. I do not like doing this sort of thing as far as that's concerned, but I think we've got the sound issue straightened out. If you guys are out there in chat right now, either in Rumble, either in YouTube, etc., please do me a favor and let me know if you can hear me or not. Very frustrating sort of thing to have happen. I do not like doing this at all. So okay. All right. Yeah, then I know we're coming through. We've got sound now. All right. We're just waiting for my colleague, Ruben Christopher Haynes, to come in. He is a gentleman's gentleman, a very wise man. And Ruben, I apologize to you. I know you're coming back in here in just 1 second, but I think we've got everything straightened out now. So I'm going to send you a message. Okay, so we're going to send him a message. He's going to be coming back in here shortly. We are here tonight to cover the announcement of Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis, particularly Ron DeSantis' announcement that he's running for president of the United States. We're going to go ahead and join Twitter Space. We're waiting for it to launch. There's going to be 1,000,001 people in this thing, so this is going to be a very interesting experience. Ruben and I are going to do some analysis, and I think we've got everything straightened out, so I'm just waiting for my partner in crime to come back in here. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. We are covering the announcement by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that he is running for president tonight, and he's doing that on Twitter Spaces in a event that is hosted by Elon Musk and by the moderator this evening is a gentleman named David Sachs, who is the vice president of Craft Ventures, and he is also a supporter of Ron DeSantis and a good friend of Elon Musk. And okay, all right, Robert, thank you. I needed that because God, I have for the past 10 minutes, I have absolutely freaked out. So, it's not been good at all. So thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I hate it when technical stuff comes up and I don't know what to do to fix it. And then all of a sudden, click one button, it fixes itself. So I'm waiting for my colleague, Ruben Christopher Haynes, to pop into the stream. So yeah, we should be good to go. We're waiting right now on Twitter Spaces for the beginning of the I shouldn't say ceremony. I should say the event. There's my buddy Ruben.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Whoo! Glory, hallelujah.
What the hell was that?
Dude, as I have often told everybody, I am a Gen Xer with boomer tendencies. So
what did you do?
I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did to cause the problem. I know what I did to fix it. I punched some buttons, and don't ask me the proper sequence of punching the buttons, but I managed to get the thing up and running. So we're back in business.
I was scared from me, at least. God.
Oh, no, you were fine. I could hear you.
Oh.
Well, no, a couple of minutes in, I couldn't hear anything. Couldn't hear you, couldn't hear me, couldn't hear anything. I could hear, then I could hear you, and I'm like, all right, now what's my problem? So I've already given everybody the introduction as far as what we're doing tonight. Let me give a proper introduction to a gentleman's gentleman, the man in Central Florida who is making it all happen, the legendary Ruben Christopher Haynes. I raise a glass to you, my brother. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. I'm good. I'm just a little bit like, I want to know what's going on here. But I'm just like, how it is.
Well, as soon as these silly people start talking, we'll find out exactly what's going on. For those of you who are joining us just now, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This is the inestimable Reuben Christopher Haynes. We are here tonight, kind of like Hunt and Brinkley, I guess, for the 21st century. We're here to cover the announcement by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that he is running for the Republican nomination to seek the presidency. We are basically waiting for this event to launch. I can see some very highfalutin folks in here so far. You got Molly Hemingway of the Federalist. You got Liz Wheeler, Tracy Beans, who's an online journalist, Savannah Hernandez. Yeah, we got quite a few famous folk.
That's good.
Yeah, so this should be a fairly interesting event. Apparently, Reuben, we got good seats for this thing. We're one among 192,000 so far.
Yeah, we got good seats.
You know,
that's good.
Exactly.
I know. I heard that on your end.
I don't know what that was, but okay.
FBI, hello. Just kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't for the NSA, the CIA, the Mossad.
Oh man. Well, it's fun. It's funny. Funny.
Here we go.
I don't hear anything. I don't see anything.
Oh. Can you hear it?
No. It's like garbled. It's like far away.
Hang on. Let me see if I can straighten that out. Nope. Now it just went quiet on their end. I think that's there on their end. Because I know my internet signal's good.
Probably they had a problem.
Could be.
That's okay. Well, yeah. I'm glad you brought up Huntley and Brinkley again. God, I haven't heard that in a while.
Well, I had to think of some combination of old school journalists to describe us as, because
that is true in a way when you think about it.
Oh,
I don't hear anything.
Still can't.
Right, I hear it, but it's like he's like far away. Like the audio is not pumping out very strongly on my end. Chat, can you tell me I'm the same way? I don't hear anything. Yeah, it was an Imperial Troy Jatter. That's what it sounds like. You have to check the audio of what you're sharing. Maybe it's
okay,
not.
Let me try it. Let me try it again real quick. I'm going to stop sharing and then come back to it. So hang on.
Yeah, there's probably something there. I still hear it.
You still hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. All right, I'm going to step out of that for a second. Let me see if I can straighten this thing out. Oh, I love technology. All right, screen number 3. Mute notifications. All right.
Ruben, are you on the phone?
Yeah. What?
Oh, go ahead. I'll tell you later.
What?
Okay. Let's try this again. Otherwise, I might be switching. Yeah, Twitter feed is very low. We're getting technical reports from the field from our man Friday, otherwise known as Robert Lowry. So, okay, let's see. All right, we're going to join the space again and see if this helps.
They're complaining about a buzzing sound.
Can you hear it better?
A little better, but it's still like very faint. Do you hear it loud?
They are okay. Oh my. Hang on. Let me all right, here's the live official. Oh, that's the live discussion. Okay. Wait a minute. I was in the wrong space. Sorry, folks. Like I said, Gen Xer with boomer tendencies. Let's try this again. Okay, apparently they're still trying to straighten this thing out. And hang on. Ruben, can you hear that?
It's very, very, very low.
Hang on, I'm going to try something here.
Is Elon covering it from his thing? No.
Apparently he's there for it. All right, I'm going to step out and step back in for 1 second. Ruben, hold down the
I will.
fort. I'll be right back. Okay.
I will.
Yeah. Or what's vamp? As Chrissy
I'll
Mayer would
vamp.
say, vamp.
I'll vamp. Well, I'll tell you this. I have been a Florida citizen for the last 2 years now, and I am surprised by this announcement, but it is what it is. And I just hope that Brian can come back here. We can get the audio straightened out and listen to what needs to be going on, because I really want to figure things out. I want to hear the words and the demeanor of what's going on here, because it's very critical for the overall, forward thinking of what we're doing here.
All right, I'm back. I thought I had a plan to make this work, and yeah. And Robert's got a very good point. There's a ton of users in a single space here. So yeah, we're still listening or trying to listen to this thing live. They're having enormous problems with it.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Oh yeah, this is on their end as far as I can tell.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go again. Here's something. Maybe.
This is preparing to launch.
Okay. All right. So while we're waiting, yeah, I'm like you. I'm surprised DeSantis is doing this. I really am.
Yeah, I was listening to the PBD podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he had Sebastian Gorka on there a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And he's correct in one regard. People are whispering into DeSantis' ear, and he's doing this because he's been told in the back rooms things.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is why I do not like politics.
Yeah.
That is 100% why I do not like it. Again, I'll say I do not like the bureaucracy of politics. I love politics. I love discussion, because you brought up Brinkley and Huntley. That's the idea. Two people coming together, crossfire, the old classic crossfire.
Exactly.
Where you had a real debate. You are friends, you come together, and you part friends, but you have a debate that's passionate about something you believe in. Now it's about back deal, this and that, and this, and it's just enough. I'm done with it all. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Well, here's the thing that surprises me about DeSantis doing this, because up until about maybe a year ago, it was rumored, let me put it that way, but rumored by sources that ought to know, that there was kind of a quiet understanding between DeSantis and Trump that DeSantis would not challenge Trump, with the possibility that Trump may take him as the Veep.
Correct.
And I was under the assumption that was going to be the case. However, probably August or September of 2022, like you said, people start whispering in DeSantis's ear, hey, we don't think Trump's good, da, da, da. And then all of a sudden, all this money comes pumping into the governor's race in Florida. DeSantis wins by almost 20 points. And now, his ego and his vanity and his ambitions are inflated. And they keep saying, look at all this legal stuff about Trump. It's going to knock him out. You're the guy, Ron. We love you. We need you to get in there and save the party and yada, yada, yada. And, and you live in Florida, you know this better than I do, but by reputation, DeSantis is an ambitious man, which I have nothing against ambitious politicians.
Right.
But when your ambition overrides your common sense, that starts becoming a problem.
Yeah, but it's who he's listening to, and
Exactly.
there is one person he's listening to that that Sebastian Gorka brought it up in the context of what it is, but I agree with him. His wife,
Lady Macbeth.
I was going to say Lady Macbeth of Florida. That's what she
Yeah.
is. She's basically whispering in his ear. She wants to be first lady, and that is a problem to me. I don't need another Michelle Obama, another Hillary Clinton, another. Again, he brought up the fact that he is Melania takes care of the kids. The president's the president. Trump was president, and she was first lady,
Yep.
and she was treated like shit. Again, and they tout out Jill Biden and Dr. Biden. She's not a doctor. He's an idiot.
Exactly.
So then now here you're going to have the whole like, well, if I want to be first lady, it's wrong to do this. It's the wrong time. Take care of Florida. Get your chops up because you have to get on the big stage, and you're not ready for prime time. You're too early. And if this is a ploy to become Veep, I feel it's again, it's disingenuous. It is the whole, and Trump was probably right. The sanctimonious. It is not right. I'm just upset. But again, because again, it's all about the establishment throwing money at a problem, saying they want to play along, and they're going to end up just screwing over the American people, basically.
Oh, I agree. I
So
absolutely agree.
That's my problem.
Well, it looks like DeSantis is back in the Twitter space. Yeah. So hopefully that they've got these issues straightened out. And I'm not speaking ill of Elon Musk or any of his tech people at Twitter, because they're doing stuff that I have no comprehension of how they do it. But I'm really in the hopes they got this. Because, I mean, I said last night in my video, I think what DeSantis is doing with this is very unique. I mean, there's going to be the traditional political kickoff rally, kind of like what Tim Scott did on Monday, that you would expect. But I have to admit, this is innovative. And it does set up an interesting contrast to himself and Trump. I mean, what does Trump do when he announces? Okay, goes to Mar-a-Lago, gives the standard political speech. What's DeSantis doing? It's something that appeals to a younger demographic, a different demographic. I think it's an interesting. I think now how it helps him in the long run, who knows? Now, getting off to a start like this isn't exactly speaking well of how things are going, but
correct.
You have this happen,
Yeah, it happens, and that's going to again. It is what it is, but it's telling per se. You're again. I can can say you're launching too early. It's not time. In a way, because in all regard, because again, this is one of the biggest announcements ever. And because again, even the video of the interview that he wanted on Twitter Spaces that Elon did before with BBC, that one was limited. This one is much bigger. And again, there's how'd you say it? Forces are forces. Everything runs on Amazon servers, even here. And there's still a lot of, again, the corruption that we have throughout the entire body politic, I'll say that way, is out. Who knows what's going on here? I don't like it. It just, it gets me, rubs me the wrong way. So this is the whole situation. So this is what I'm saying. It's like doing this for political reasons, not for personal reasons, for political, and then just for the money is wrong. And I'm just sick and tired of that. It's just, I don't like it.
Well, I agree with you. I'm refreshing just to see if maybe if they've got some of this straightened out. So hang on just a second here.
No problem.
Let's see if we can figure out what's going on. Oh, hello, Leanne. If nothing else, that's a pleasant distraction. All right, come on. Where is it, guys? Well, surely they didn't take it down. Come on.
Well, they made the same thing. They were refreshing.
No, that's true. That is true. Okay. Folks, I promise, normally these sort of things go smoother than this, but my
There it
colleague and
is.
I, where?
Listen
Oh,
to
there. Okay. No, that's the live discussion.
Oh, okay.
Where's? Well, let's pop in there for a second. For folks who may be watching this, let's at least be able to give them something. Oh.
Yeah, I can't hear it. It's very faint. Are they complaining too?
Oh.
What happened?
Oh, okay. Ruben, I don't know if you heard that, but the reason that we can't find the Twitter space, apparently it's crashed.
Okay, there you go. That's probably what happened.
Oh, okay. That starts making sense then. Wow. Holy cow. Okay, well then I'll take this down for the moment.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I love
No,
looking
it's
at
fine.
Leanne Starr anytime that I can, but bless her heart. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep an eye on it. And
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This is my colleague, the inestimable Reuben Christopher Haynes. We are trying to cover the DeSantis campaign launch on Twitter Spaces. Now, I say the word trying because apparently they've gotten so much traffic into that Twitter space, which basically is an overglorified chat room. It's crashed it. And it's crashed it in such a way, word's gone out on the press wires. We were just listening in another Twitter space where someone was saying that they had gotten notification from the BBC. Yes, a more disastrous problem than the DeSantis crash.
Exactly.
Robert, we're trying to keep this family friendly, doggone it.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
Got to keep it friendly.
But anyway, no, we're trying to cover this, but apparently they're having such technical problems with all the volume of people coming in to listen to this. It's crashed their servers. They can't operate the thing. So, and I'm a little surprised, if I may say, that Elon and his engineers didn't anticipate this.
Right.
I really am surprised.
Yeah, but I am surprised, but I don't rule out sabotage.
It's possible.
Because again, going back to I'm really glad that you picked up on the point of Lady Macbeth reference, because that's what's critical here. Because you had Michelle, you had to a certain extent, who is it? Who was Dolly? Was it Dolly Madison, or who was the name? Madison, and you had Wilson's wife,
Ava Braun.
Wilson's, yeah. Oh yeah, basically, yeah. All the specter of a woman who wants power or wants adulation is not good, and this is not a good thing. So that's why I'm very miffed by the whole thing, because again, it just brings up corruption. Corruption is everywhere, and people who say, well, that's the way things are, is no, it's not. That's the way things are now, not the way they should be. I have to follow certain rules in life, and then everyone should follow those certain rules, and should be good to each other. And this is disingenuous per se.
Yeah. Let me, while we're waiting, I've got to show you something, because I just found this way too humorous. Nina Infinity has just commented, I think we found out the radio is superior tech to Twitter.
There you go. That's not wrong.
She's not wrong. She's absolutely not wrong. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 6:25 Eastern Standard Time. My name is Brian Tripp at the Front Porch Conservative. This is Reuben Christopher Haynes. We are here attempting to cover the DeSantis announcement that he's running for president, but apparently the servers have crashed at Twitter because of the volume of people coming in. We're just basically waiting for them to come back up and see if they can make this thing go. And in the meanwhile, we will give you scintillating commentary, insightful commentary, and if nothing else, entertaining commentary. So,
right.
Yeah, I am going back to the whole Trump versus DeSantis. I'm like you. I think DeSantis would be better served if he had just finished his second term, let happen whatever's going to happen between Trump and Biden go down, and then if Trump loses, he is the automatic heir apparent.
Mm-hmm.
If it turns out Trump wins, he could still wind up being the heir apparent depending upon the decision of Trump's vice president, whomever it may be, assuming that it's not DeSantis. But I think now, I mean, it's either DeSantis wins, or in the long term, he may be done politically.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, if you've got thoughts on that, please feel free to throw them in.
No, I do. This is a calculated. It's a calculated move because he's told certain things, and no, it's a bad move. We'll see what happens because again, rhetoric is his political. You saw his? Did you see his political 1 minute ad already?
Yes, the 30-second ad that. Yeah, it was. I didn't think it was too bad, but it wasn't the best thing that they ever could have put out.
No, it's hokey.
Yeah, it's standard political consultant boilerplate sort of, campaign 30-second spot. That's really all it is. Let me see if I can find that real fast. Hang on 1 second. Maybe we can show that to the audience.
Yeah, it's one of two things, and Sebastian Gorka said it best, but I'll paraphrase it. Do you believe in America as the greatest country in the world with the greatest people who has an opportunity to do anything you want to? Or do you think the opposite? If you think the opposite, then no. Then I can debate you on that. I won't hate you for it, but I'll debate you for it. Because again, it's like, that's how it is, It's just...
Hang on. Sorry about that. Oh, that was loud, I assume?
No. I barely heard it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can. I am doing my dead level best here on just trying to get this thing to go and make the audio better. But let me see what I can. Yeah, because I found the 1 minute campaign ad. The one that I was looking for is the 30-second ad that came out yesterday. If I were on Google Chrome, I could make the sound come through on this thing better. But I'm trying to find that. Yeah, he did a 1 minute ad today. There was one that came out. Yeah, here you are. Here you are. Okay, the playback speed is perfectly fine. That's not what I'm worried about. It's the volume. Yeah, I'm doing this on Firefox, and I'm not sure if it's got an option to let me share the sound. That's why I think I'm having such trouble with this. Because my other two, Google Chrome and then Brave, would let me share audio, and for some reason this one doesn't, which I don't quite understand that. But I think let me see if I can play this. I'll crank this as good as it'll go. So here's that 30-second ad that came out yesterday. And let me play this for you folks. Here we go. Ruben, tell me if you can hear this.
Barely. Yeah, it's far. It sounds like it's far away. Oh my God, that was horrible.
Yeah.
No. But if you, because I can barely hear it. So then if you turn down the volume all the way and play it again, look at his body movement. It's prepared. It's not natural.
It's rushed. I agree. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. Now I think back on it. You know what? Let's just do that. Let's just drop the volume on it and just walk through it. And if you want me to stop it at various points, just let me know. Take a look at this, folks. All right, so here comes DeSantis.
He's walking out.
Yep.
And he stands.
Okay.
And then he gets that whole prepared bullshit.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look right.
Yeah, I agree. This feels just schlocky. This is political consultant. There's not.
What does it say?
Text launch to 512.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
fuck that. No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No, you can say whatever you want on the stream, Ruben. I
No,
don't.
no,
I
no.
mean, yeah,
no.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree. This is just schlocky.
Oh, there she is. There's Lady Macbeth talking already.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. I'll tell you what. I mean,
Wait, let me see something on my end here. Let me see if I can hear something on my end.
okay.
I'm just trying to find it to see if this thing does anything. If anything's pumped up here.
And while we're waiting,
oh,
you want me to try it again?
Let me see if I can hear something on my end.
All right.
Your mic will be shut off. Join the space, and nothing.
No, Robert, I absolutely agree with you. And this is the calculation that DeSantis has got to think about, because if he gets into this race, and if by some miracle he beats Trump, there is a percentage of the Trump vote that they're going to wash their hands of him, and it will cost any chance that people have of seeing Biden defeated in November 24. And
okay, yeah,
I guess
he's on now. You want me to share my audio?
Yeah, try it.
Let me see. Hold on. Do you hear that?
Barely. Let me try it on my side. Hang on.
Interesting. Yeah, I hear him very, very clearly. It's interesting that the audio didn't work. But yeah, he's talking now. He's talking about to take questions.
Oh, he's taking questions directly?
He's about to take questions right now.
Okay. You pull up another. I can't even get back into the Twitter space. It won't even let me get back into it.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, I click on it, it won't let me in. My screen's going gray and it won't let me do a thing. Unbelievable. I'll keep trying, don't get me wrong, but folks, I promise this isn't us. Believe me, it is not us at all.
That's true. Robert is true. No Trump supporter will ever support DeSantis. No.
Oh, I absolutely agree with him. He's right. He is absolutely right. And it may have just crashed it again. Because I'm back on Twitter's main page and I don't even see. Okay, here we go. Now it might be back up. Maybe. I can't even get back into it.
Okay. Yeah, but I found it very odd that you couldn't share the audio. Or it didn't sounded weird. Let me see here. You go again on my end. Let me see if I can see anything.
Are you using Google Chrome or are you using
I'm using Brave.
Okay, Brave should give you the option to share the audio.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was. Let me see here. Right, where are you? Oh God, these people are so stupid. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. Yeah, like I lost everything.
Yeah, well, while Ruben's working on that, if you got comments out in chat, either matter of fact, well, let me pull up my Rumble side because I got to see if anybody's commenting over there. And again, folks, we apologize for the technical problems on this. A lot of this is on Twitter's end. I've always said I'll step up and take blame when I don't get something right or I can't make something work. But a lot of this one's on them. So yeah, if you've got comments either on Rumble or on YouTube, feel free to throw them in right now.
Yeah, it will let me join.
It won't.
Okay, now I got in. Let me see here. Hold on.
Hang on. Okay. All right. No comments on the Rumble side. Thought I'd check that. But okay.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Won't let you back in?
No, it did, but then it got me out. Hold on. I'm just trying again one more time. 213,000 people.
Holy cow. Again, I am, and again, I'm not trying to speak ill of Elon Musk or his engineers or anybody else, but they should have figured the volume of people wanting to come in for this thing. And this is, I mean, it's a small thing in the long run, but you're trying to launch a campaign against odds that you shouldn't even have to take on, even in the best of circumstances. And this is going to give Trump and his people lots of reasons to chortle before this night is over with. So, yeah.
Here, try this. Try this thing.
Okay. You sharing screen?
Here, let me. Hold on. Oh God, wrong button.
Did you send it in private chat?
I'm doing it again right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Hang on.
Reading
Let me add to the stream.
In fourth grade math amongst
I can hear that.
Population.
Okay,
And
let's leave it there.
The head
Yep, we're good.
CP lives in Florida, and a lot of their board members have put out on social media during my governorship Florida vacations where they seem to be having an awful good time.
That's great. Well, I mean, Florida's a great state, and I think the people realize that. Some of the things that are being said are just truly absurd. I mean, I saw some headline from The Atlantic basically claiming that anyone who listens to this Spaces on Twitter is basically a Nazi.
That was The Atlantic, and then Vanity Fair said that you were hosting or interviewing because David Duke wasn't available.
Oh yes.
Although I'm not totally
Jesus.
sure who they were saying was David Duke. I don't know if it was you or Governor DeSantis. It's sort of a little bit unclear, but
I think this is a function of the legacy media, these corporate journals. They're in their little bubble. And to draw allusions to stuff like that, I mean, how crazy do you have to be? But in their little bubble, it sounds like they're making some type of profound point. And so part of, I think, what Twitter is standing for is people should be exposed to different viewpoints. And I think the elites in our society have tried to cluster themselves to where their assumptions are never challenged. And that's not a good way, I think, to live. It's also not a good way to be a critical thinker, because no one's ever going to question obviously wrong assumptions because everybody around you shares them.
Absolutely.
And I think they become totally hysterical because they don't like the idea that their control over the media is being, disintermediated.
Yeah.
Because now, candidates for president can just speak directly to people through platforms like Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing about Twitter and things like Spaces are that, although I happen to be hosting it, I had to switch over to David hosting it because my account was actually
There's too much interest. But
my account was breaking the system. But there's really never been a mechanism before where someone could address the nation, or anyone who wanted to listen to them could from anywhere in the world.
Radio?
United States or anywhere. So I think this is a really profound.
Well, that's what they
change.
say.
And it's also like it's not just whether the media reports something and an article is true or not. Even more powerful is deciding what the narrative is. And
Totally.
so it's just like, if there's only so much you can actually fit in a newspaper or a magazine, and there's only one thing you can really put on the cover of a magazine. So that whoever's deciding that is deciding to not talk about other things. Whereas with a public digital town square like we have here, it's possible for the public to choose the narrative. It empowers the people instead of a very tiny elite cabal, which I don't recognize the irony of using that phrase. But nonetheless, it's true, and you can judge by the results that this is a means for people to decide the narrative, and for the people to decide which way a debate will go, not sort of 5 editors-in-chiefs of a few newspapers, basically.
Yeah, and I think one of the really crazy things that happened during COVID is that social networks really started censoring dissenting viewpoints on COVID, medical viewpoints that ended up being totally correct in lockstep with what the mainstream media was doing. So basically, big tech platforms were undermining their main reason for existing, which is giving people a choice. And actually, there's somebody who I think knows more about that than any of us, which is Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who's a professor of medicine at Stanford. I want to pull him in here. Jay, you go ahead and unmute yourself if you can. It'd be great to hear from you. I know that during COVID, you worked with Governor DeSantis. It'd be great just to hear a little bit about your interactions and if you have a question for the governor.
Yeah, thank you, David. Yeah, I mean, it was an absolute honor to work with Governor DeSantis, and I was really impressed by his decision making in the face of an absolute firestorm of criticism. But Governor, you did the right thing when you opened the schools. And my kids in California for a year and a half didn't see the inside of a classroom, whereas Florida kids were in school. And you can see it in the results, and the learning loss numbers are so much better in Florida. I'm really curious, Governor, as you're running for president, what are your thoughts about reforming, the public health authority in the United States and the federal government, the CDC, the FDA, the NIH. How do you see reforms we need so that the mistakes of the lockdowns that happened during the pandemic don't happen again when there's another pandemic?
Well, first, we need an honest reckoning about what happened during COVID. And the only honest reckoning is that all of those agencies, all of the elites, the public health establishment, they failed. They instituted bad policies. Obviously, it's a novel virus, but I think what happened was when the data was becoming more and more apparent that the path they were on was wrong, they doubled down and wanted to do it even more. And I really believe had Florida not just kind of stood in the way, I think this country would have had rolling lockdowns for probably a 2-year period. And so their impulses were authoritarian. They were not following the data. And I think the US government needs to acknowledge the failures. And I think all of those agencies need to be cleaned out. What I saw just dealing with them was I saw a interest in the narrative and in politics over evidence-based reasoning and evidence-based medicine. And so I don't have confidence that those agencies are up to the task. And I think you need major overhaul of the whole enchilada with respect to public health in this country.
And that looks like what exactly?
Can I follow up with that? I mean, I think the The other thing that I saw during the pandemic, Governor, and you was subject to it just as much as I was when we were talking about COVID. YouTube censored a video of us speaking about in a roundtable that you hosted on COVID policy. There's so much of the federal government infrastructure went into suppressing honest scientific discussion during the pandemic. So it's not just public health agencies, but other agencies inside the federal government that worked to suppress the speech of Americans. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
No question. So I'm actually in Florida. We recognize the danger there. So I'm actually going to be signing a digital bill of rights for Florida pretty soon, which will bar all state and local government officials from colluding or working with a technology company for the purpose of censorship of speech. Because you're exactly right. You had people in the White House, you had people in all these other agencies working with these platforms to try to take it down. And oh, by the way, what did they censor Dr. Bhattacharya for? It was a roundtable discussion that I led and convened. We had Dr. Bhattacharya, MD, PhD from Stanford. We had Martin Kulldorff from Harvard Medical School, and we had Sunetra Gupta from Oxford, who was generally viewed as one of the best epidemiologists across the pond until she became anti-lockdown. So these are all eminent people. And what are we discussing? We're discussing whether there's any scientific basis to force a school child to wear a mask for 8 hours a day. They all agreed there was no basis to do it and that you should not have school mask mandates. YouTube thought that that was, quote, anti-science and that should be taken down. But even at that point, we had already had enough experience in Florida where you had some schools that had done it before the state banned the mandates. You had some schools that had done it, some schools didn't, and the results were no different. And yet his video was taken down by Google YouTube. Mm-hmm. So it was a huge, huge problem. And yes, I think the federal government, FBI, DHS, any of the health agencies, it's unconstitutional for them to be delegating speech restriction to a private company. You can't do indirectly what the Constitution would clearly forbid you to do directly.
Good answer.
Let me pull in. We have Congressman Thomas Massey.
Okay.
If you're there, go ahead and unmute yourself. I mean, what we're talking about here is,
let's see what Massey says.
Really unconstitutional actions by federal agencies. Congressman Massey, I know that you've been involved in this problem of government agencies being weaponized and used against the American people in an inappropriate way. Do you have a comment on this? And do you have a question for Governor DeSantis?
Well, first of all, let me say a big thank you to Elon Musk for buying Twitter and exposing all of this. On our weaponization committee, we wouldn't know so much of it if he hadn't done this, almost as a public service to the First Amendment. It's a disturbing trend. Government, as the governor said, the government is colluding with big corporations. We found out this week from an FBI whistleblower that Bank of America voluntarily gave names of and information on anybody who bought a hot dog in Washington, D.C. from January 5th to January 7th, and then overlaid that with gun purchases that they had on record anywhere in the country.
Data analytics.
Time. And just they say they voluntarily gave that to the FBI. So that's disturbing to me. By the way, I've never met Elon Musk, but I'm one of your biggest fans. I'm the first congressman to have a Tesla. I'm on Starlink, and I would have bought a Powerwall, but I'm off the grid, and you wouldn't sell me one, so I had to make one with a wrecked Model S, and it's been running our house for 5 years. But my
and just for the record, I was with Thomas our first year in Congress. He's got the Tesla, but his license plate is Kentucky Coal. So it's he's probably one of the only people that have that in the country.
Thanks for outing me, Governor DeSantis. But no, so Governor DeSantis, my question to you is, you served here in Congress for 6 years with me. And why is it that Congress is so feckless at reining in these government agencies? And what do you think we need to do? And if you were president, what would you urge Congress, or what bills would you like to see and sign to rein in this, sort of overreach of government bureaucracy?
Well, first, I think there's a lot that the executive branch can do, and all I will say when it comes to these agencies, we'll go into this a little bit more as the campaign goes on. But buckle up when I get in there, because the status quo is not acceptable, and we are going to make sure that we reconstitutionalize this government. And these agencies are totally out of control. There's no accountability, and we are going to bring that in a very big way. Now, part of the reason it's gotten so bad, power's been consolidated and effectively a fourth branch of government, because Congress hasn't used its two main powers that it has under the Constitution. First, the power of the purse. If an agency is engaging in conduct that is outside the realm of what is legal, or you think it's not good for the public interest, then you can remove the funding for those operations. There's nothing that
Starve
they're not
Leviathan.
entitled to get the same level of funding every year, and yet Congress runs the government on autopilot, either continuing resolutions or massive omnibus spending bills. So these agencies are all bulletproof. They know that they're going to end up getting something similar or more every single year, and it creates an incentive for them to abuse their power. The other thing you can do is actually legislate, so you're not delegating to the bureaucracy key issues regarding how to enforce federal law. You should define what you want. All they should be doing is implementing. Instead, Congress will basically give an invitation for the bureaucracy to make really important substantive decisions. And so Congress may never vote on something, and the bureaucracy will cite a law from 20 years ago and do things that are going to transform our society or our country. That is not the way the founding fathers drew up the Constitution.
So would you sign the Reins Act? We passed it out of judiciary today.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That would, I think, be a great check for that. I also think that we're going to have a good chance to see some of the Chevron deference really curtailed, or maybe even eliminated, based on the U.S. Supreme Court's upcoming jurisprudence. And I think that's another reason why the bureaucracy has become so powerful, because courts have basically been told they can pretty much do what they want, and courts are supposed to just defer. I don't think that that's actually correct. I think the courts, they have to make a judgment about what does the law actually say, and you can't just defer to quote unquote experts in the bureaucracy.
Thank you.
All right, shifting gears, Governor, I want to ask you another topic that's been in the news a lot is Disney. They blamed you for canceling plans for $1 billion investment in Florida, said they were canceling 2,000
Thank you,
jobs.
Admiral.
I saw other reports that
Appreciate it.
suggested Disney was going to make the cuts anyway, and due to a larger, budget cutting initiative. Regardless of why they did it, why do you feel your fight with Disney remains important, considering you already beat them on the parental rights bill that they opposed? And what would you say to some of your opponents in this race who argue that the fight has dragged on too long?
So first of all, Florida stands for the protection of children. We believe jamming gender ideology in elementary school is wrong. Disney obviously supported injecting gender ideology in elementary school. They did oppose our parents' rights legislation. And the fact is, when they opposed it, that was a big deal, because for 50 years, anytime Disney wanted something in Florida politics, they pretty much got it. But not this time. I signed the bill. We did, as you say, win on the issue. But what happened was Disney's posturing, some of the other statements that their executives were making, kind of the corporate culture, had really been outed as trying to inject matters of sex into the programming for the youth. And I think a lot of parents, including me, look at that and say, that's not appropriate. I mean, we want our kids to be able to just be kids. And that's kind of our mantra. So you had this setup that Disney engineered many decades ago, where they actually had their own government that they controlled with no accountability. They were exempt from the laws that all their competitors had to follow, massive tax breaks, and they even racked up municipal debt. And Florida basically put them on a pedestal many decades ago and joined the state with this one company at the hip. We just didn't feel that we were comfortable maintaining that relationship. And so we ended their self-governing status. So Disney has to live under the same laws as everybody. They got to pay the same taxes as everybody. And obviously they'll be responsible for those debts. So the reason why there's a quote fight is just because they filed a lawsuit against the state of Florida, trying to get their special privileges reinstituted. But I don't think that that's good policy. And I think some of these Republicans that are taking Disney's side, they're basically showing themselves to be corporatists, because these are all corporate goodies. This is not the way you would run a competitive economy. And the arrangement had really outlived its usefulness, but it persisted because Disney was so politically powerful. I think the company's ethos have changed in a way that's alienated a lot of people in our legislature and in Florida, and so there was really no justification to keep it. But make no mistake, they're suing to try to get special privileges. People are making money in Florida hand over fist because we have a great business climate. That's not good enough for them. They want to be treated differently than Universal and SeaWorld, and we don't think that that's appropriate. So, I think that they should withdraw the lawsuit, but obviously we're going to defend our actions because we think we have the right to do what we did.
It's funny, the media used to criticize Republicans for being in the pocket of big corporations, and now they're attacking you because you're not.
Well, not only that, David, it's interesting because the media in Florida for years had hammered Disney, and they would point out like that this was not a good arrangement because Disney was not accountable to anyone. I mean, when the state control board took over this district, the firefighters came to the board and they said, hey, we weren't getting survivor benefits for some of these widows. And so the state control board actually paid out some of the benefits that they were getting stiffed on. There were a lot of people in Central Florida who were really thankful that there was some accountability being brought to bear because, it's human nature. If there's no accountability over any individual or entity, of course, they're going to behave differently than if you have normal accountability. But the media was always very hostile to that. But just because I happen to be involved in bringing it back to reality and making sure that they were under the same laws, well, then all of a sudden they're running to Disney's defense. I mean, are you kidding me? And oh, by the way, on this project, they had announced this many years ago. They had not done anything for it, but that is actually not in Reedy Creek. So that was in a different part of Orlando. And so none of the issues that are involved in their suit would have made a difference there. Obviously, as a publicly traded corporation, they have a fiduciary duty to do what's best for their shareholders. So I'm assuming if they were in better financial shape and they saw the project as lucrative, they would have gone forward with it. But I think clearly they've had some problems with their stock price and a lot of other issues. And I'd also just finally point out, nobody probably has made Disney more money than me because they were open during COVID and they were closed in California. And that went on for many, many months, where literally I had all the theme parks in Florida opened in 2020. People are going, it's safe, they're having fun. And the California parks were closed. I think they were closed for over a year out in California. So we were, I think, a much better place to be doing business, certainly since I've been governor.
Great. Let me shift gears here to the topic of education. I want to pull Chris Rufo into the conversation. I know he worked with you on some initiatives. I think, one other thing that the mainstream media,
while we're waiting for the next question, my name is Brian Tripp, the Porch Conservative.
This
is Ruben Christopher
that you
Haynes,
books from school libraries,
the gentlemen of Central Florida. We are covering the DeSantis announcement, the president, and the question and answer session that he's taking
or
right
pretend
now.
that gay people don't exist. Since many people, I think, in this room, we're now up to, over 271,000 people. So,
and we're on the front row, by the way.
Unprecedented in terms of the numbers of people we have participating. By the way, I think Twitter's working much better now. I think it crashed.
Megan Kelly's jealous. We got better seats.
500,000 people in a room by an account with over 100 million followers, which is Elon's account. I think that
get over it, Megan.
Just a scalability level that was unprecedented. But with my meager followership, it seems to be working much better.
It's we have some scaling issues specifically related to my account. At one point in January, if I tweeted above a certain size, it would crash the service. And then anyone else who was tweeting at the same time would lose their tweet as well.
So in any event, well, we're breaking new ground here. We're
scaling issues.
Yes, you're breaking new ground when there are bugs and scaling issues. But in any event, back to the question I was asking you, Governor DeSantis, about education. The media has been, saying you're trying to ban books. You refuse to teach kids about slavery. You want to say that gay people don't exist. What is the truth of the matter for people who maybe have never heard from you before? And then I want to pull Chris Rufo in on this as well.
Yeah, so the whole book ban thing is a hoax. There's not been a single book banned in the state of Florida. You can go buy or use whatever book you want. what we have done is empowered parents with the ability to review the curriculum, to know what books are being used in school, and then to ensure that those books match state standards and are age and developmentally appropriate. So, for example, parents have flagged books in schools that, for example, teach middle school kids how to use sex apps, that provide graphic depictions of sex acts and sex toys for people as young as 5th grade. And so clearly that is not appropriate to be in a middle school classroom. And so parents object and the schools take them out. I did a press conference that we called Exposing the Book Ban Hoax. And before I had the parents come up, before I spoke, I just played the video that had the images of the books that the parents had objected being in their kids' classroom. And the local news had to cut the feed because they said it was too graphic. Well, if it's too graphic for the 6 o'clock news, how is it okay for a 6th grader or a 5th grader? And so nothing's
That is
being
an excellent
banned. They're
point.
basically ensuring that we make curation choices that are consistent with state standards. And on the racial history, we eliminated critical race theory from our K through 12 schools. That was the right thing to do. In other words, we're not going to take a kid who comes in at 6 years old and say they're an oppressor or oppressed based on what their race is. That's divisive. That's wrong. We're also not going to be teaching people to hate their country. But what we are going to do is teach the accurate history. So in the same bill that banned critical race theory, we required teaching thoroughly about racial discrimination that occurred in American history. And Florida's history standards require all of those subjects from slavery, Reconstruction, segregation, all of that to be taught, and will continue to do that. So I think what you see is the left and the media colluding on this. They don't want to actually defend what it is that we are actually legislating or regulating. So they create these hoaxes that somehow you don't want kids to learn that slavery existed in America, which is preposterous. No one actually defends the offending material. And the question is why are there people intent on trying to get this stuff into the classroom? And I think it's part of a political agenda. So our mantra in Florida is the purpose of the schools is education, not indoctrination. Yes, I think it's very inappropriate to have sexually explicit material in a 5th grade library, 100%. But it's also the case that if you're focusing on that type of instruction, there's an opportunity cost involved. Why shouldn't we be doing more on science or reading or math? And so I think we're getting it right. And I think almost invariably, and Chris Rufo's had to deal with this too, when they're trying to craft these narratives, you just peel back the onion, you realize that this is something they're manufacturing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I was actually under the impression that there were some books banned. So this is news to me.
And they actually, the one this week was that Miami-Dade County took a book that was about like poems from I think like Biden's inauguration, and they moved it from elementary school library to middle school library. The media tried to act like somehow this is being banned, and you actually had Miami-Dade County Public Schools spokesperson have to come out and say there's nothing that's been banned or removed. It was basically just determined that this particular book was better suited for middle school. And so they put it in the middle school media center, and the media tries to act like somehow that is offending something with a book ban. So, but I think part of the reason that they're doing that is because, there is actually a movement to ban books from like Amazon and some of these others. California, some municipalities have banned things like To Kill a Mockingbird. What they're trying to do is see if some of these books pass a woke test. And if they don't, they are going against some of those books. Whereas in Florida, you can buy whatever book you want. But that's a different question than what would be appropriate for a 3rd grader or what would be appropriate for a 6th grader. Government, by definition, has to make those choices about what type of curriculum we want to put in front of our students. And the parents obviously have
local
an important
government
voice in
does.
Absolutely. Well, in fact, a friend of mine, Tim Urban, who has a blog called Wait But Wine, is really one of the most reasonable people on earth and one of the most reasoned people I've ever met. Had a lot of trouble actually publishing his book, simply because it debated sort of sacred cows of woke ideology. But incredibly reasonable book. So that is the kind of de facto book banning and de facto book suppression that I see quite a lot of. Is that the publishers are unwilling to take risks.
Let me shift gears here for a second because I know we're running out of time. We're supposed to end, I think, around 4 Pacific. But thank you for giving us a little bit of extra time here, Governor. Shifting gears to a major federal issue, immigration. We see I've seen these videos on social media and on TV of what looks like just insanity at the border. What is your take on what's going on there, and how would you address that as president?
Well, I'd reverse what Biden's doing. You need to shut the border down. You should not be entertaining these asylum claims for people crossing illegally. You know, asylum is a legitimate thing, but these are people that when they come, I mean, they're being persecuted. These people coming overwhelmingly are economic migrants that are coming across many other different countries. They should be applying for asylum there if they were, truly qualifying for that, but they're not. They know that if they just show up at the southern border, and these are people all over the world that are coming illegally, they know that they will get a sheet of paper saying, okay, come back for a court date in 3 years, and they get released to the interior of our country. It's an absolutely insane system. So we'll stop that. We will move on day one by declaring a national emergency. We will construct a border wall. We will make sure we have remain in Mexico and that we're not entertaining those claims in that way. And we really need to hold the Mexican drug cartels accountable because they're facilitating a lot of this migration. They obviously make money off of it. They treat a lot of these people very horribly as they're trafficking them through Mexico and into the United States. And of course, the cartels have been responsible for moving massive amounts of fentanyl into this country. And that's killing tens of thousands of Americans every year now. And what they're doing is they lace the other types of drugs with the fentanyl. So you may have like a teenage kid doing something they probably shouldn't do, but in prior generations would not have been fatal. And now if it's laced with fentanyl, these kids can overdose and die. And so mothers are losing kids as a result of this fentanyl epidemic. And I just don't think you could allow these criminal organizations to continue poisoning our population. So it'll be a day one issue. We will bring overwhelming amount of resources to deal with it. And we are going to stop this insanity once and for all.
There's a, I think, follow-up question on immigration from Steve Dace, who is a national radio personality and I think an important commentator in the great state of Iowa. Steve, do you have a comment or question? I think you just need to unmute. If Steve can unmute, then we'll go ahead and ask him for a question. If not, we'll keep rolling here. All right, 3, 2, going.
I'm there,
all right,
guys.
sorry, Steve.
I'm there, guys.
Oh,
Sorry.
there you
he
go.
is.
All right.
Yeah, my bad. First of all, I want to echo what
We're not the
Congressman
only one with
Massey
technical
said
problems.
to Elon. Elon, if I put down money on January 1st, 2022, that Twitter was going to be the last bastion of free speech on earth, brother, I'd be about as rich as you are on that bet right now. I mean, it's incredible what you have done here, and the restoration of a lot of accounts of people that were truth tellers and were ran from here for telling the truth. I saw a meme the other day that said, of course you have scientific consensus when you censor all the scientists who disagree. So I wanted to just say, first and foremost, on behalf of a lot of grateful people around the country and the world, really,
Great line.
thank you very much for that and the investment you made in that cause. Thank you. A question is a follow-up to you, Governor, on this very issue with immigration. We have heard a lot over the years, lock her up, drain the swamp, going to build a beautiful wall. Mexico's going to pay for it. And crowds cheered and everybody loved it. And brands got built and nothing got done. What is the bottom line assurance that you can make to the people that are listening right now, all over the world and all over the country, that you can actually do the agenda that you just articulated when others tweeted about it and talked about it, but then couldn't actually follow through?
I was wondering when it's going to take a shot.
That's
at Trump.
It's a great
wrong.
question because I shared that frustration. I think even my worst critics in Florida will acknowledge when I tell people I'm going to do something, I don't make promises or say I'm going to do something lightly. I've thought it through, and I know that I am going to follow through on what I tell people I'm going to do. So this is one. There will be follow through. Number two, I understand the different leverage points that you would have under Article 2 of the Constitution. I studied that a lot at becoming governor about Florida's Constitution, doing the same thing for the federal Constitution. And you've got to know how to use your leverage to advance what you're trying to accomplish. So, for example, there's leverage that we can use vis-a-vis Mexico that I think presidents have not been willing to do. I think sometimes for political purposes. But I'll look at, okay, what are all the variety of options we can do? Which buttons can I push? And I will do that to be able to bring this issue to a conclusion once and for all. We had Hurricane Ian come through Southwest Florida, Category 4+ storm, September of 2022. And it did a lot of damage. But one of the things it did, it knocked out a bridge going from the mainland to Pine Island, and it severed the Sanibel Causeway in 3 different locations. And the locals were being told it's going to take 6 months to get that stuff repaired. And so they came to me, even though these were not state-owned bridges, and they said, can you help us? And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I got my guys together. I said, listen, no bureaucracy, no red tape, and no excuses. Get it done. We need to open these bridges back. Pine Island Bridge reopened 3 days later. Sanibel Causeway opened 2 weeks after that, way ahead of schedule, because we wouldn't take no for an answer, and we wanted to make sure we got it done. So for me, it is not a campaign slogan that you get in and then forget about it. I'm, as an American citizen, if I wasn't running, this would be an issue that bothers me. I've put a lot of my capital as Florida governor involved in combating illegal immigration. We banned sanctuary cities my first year. We just did a strong anti-illegal immigration bill in Florida that's working. I've put marine assets in the Florida Keys to help the Coast Guard repel boats from places like Haiti. I have people at the southern border right now helping Texas, and we've even been able to relocate illegal aliens to places like Martha's Vineyard. So I don't think any governor has probably gone out of his way to do more to try to make an impact on this issue. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. And I think our voters are sick of the empty promises. They want to see action.
Thank you, Governor.
Well, Governor, I saw the cover of Time Magazine this week. And I think they were trying to do a negative story because they had you were sort of scowling in this portrait they made of you, and in the article they call you they compared you to the Terminator, and I think they meant insult, but I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was
Ruben, I'll be right back.
Yeah,
I think we need a cool-headed, ruthless assassin to go in and basically take on the woke mob, take on our out-of-control government, and take on problems like the ones at the border. So, again, I thought it made you sound great, even though that may not have been their intention.
Well, look, at the end of the day, this whole business that we're in is about producing results. I don't care about fanfare. I'm the governor, like I'm known, right? And I go around the state and everything, and people are very nice. And so, I appreciate the well wishes, but I don't need any of the fanfare. I don't need any adulation. I just know I'm in a position where I have a chance to make a difference, and I'm either doing it or I'm not. And I remember sitting at the desk in the state capitol my first day as governor 4.5 years ago. I looked around the room and I thought to myself, I don't know what SOB is going to succeed me in this chair, but they are not going to have anything to do because I'm getting all the meat off the bone. I am going to make sure that I'm leaning into issues and making an impact. And we have done that in the state of Florida. And I bring that exact attitude up to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Governor, I'd love to jump in and follow up on that. This is Chris Rufo, and I've had the honor of working with you in the past few years on critical race theory, gender ideology, and the DEI bureaucracy. And what I've seen up close and personal is that while many conservative politicians going back decades have made headlines and got on television playing culture war, they never actually get anything done. And what you've done over the last few years is really astonishing. You've eliminated CRT from all Florida's public institutions. You've stopped gender ideology dead in its tracks in K through 12. And just last week, you eliminated the DEI bureaucracy in all of Florida's public universities. They'll be shut down completely. And I think what you've done is established a blueprint for fighting back against the left's long march of the institutions and making sure that those institutions reflect the value of Florida voters. not left-wing activists and the partisan press. So my question for you is, DC is another animal. It's quite different, the scale of the federal government. And how are you going to deliver results? And what is your culture war strategy facing down the swamp in DC?
Well, some of it is similar in this respect. When we're taking on things like DEI, you get blowback from legacy media and the far left. But that's an example of an issue where they are out of step with the vast majority of Americans. It's not just Republicans, it's independents and a lot of Democrats. Because you think about if you're a parent and you've got kids, you want to know when they apply to college, they're going to be judged based on their merit. And they're not going to be roadkill in some type of woke Olympics where they didn't fit some category and so they're denied opportunity. They want to make sure that achievement matters. And so we get a lot of quiet support for a lot of those things. And so I think what I do, just because, look, I'm a blue collar kid. I grew up in the Tampa Bay area, working minimum wage to get through school. My grandfather worked in the steel mill in Western Pennsylvania. I just know instinctively kind of what like normal people think about all this stuff. And I have a good sense of when the legacy media and the left are outside of where the average American is, because people want you to be using common sense. And things like DEI, I mean, when I was growing up, I think things were better because people were actually told you should try to get along. Now they're told you need to segregate. And it's just crazy that they're trying to do all this stuff. So by eliminating that, there's a lot of people that were really happy about that, including people that certainly are not traditional Republicans. And I think there's similar issues when you do in the federal level. It's also the case that there are some tools at the federal level that we don't necessarily have at the state level. For example, some of the problems with the university and the ideological capture, that didn't happen by accident, can trace back all the way to the accreditation cartels. Well, guess what? To become an accreditor, how do you do that? You've got to get approved by the U.S. Department of Education. So we're going to be doing alternative accreditation regimes where instead of saying you will only get accredited if you do DEI, you'll have an accreditor that will say, we will not accredit you if you do DEI. We want a colorblind, merit-based accreditation scheme. And so as president, controlling that agency, you can then approve other types of accreditation. So I think part of it is just knowing where are all the pressure points? How does it get to the point that we then see and that somebody like you will run a report on? Like when you see some of the outrageous stuff that's generated in some sociology department at a university, that didn't just happen out of thin air. There's a reason why we got to that point. And I think that there are some tools with the federal government where you can push back and try to get these institutions moored in a more foundational direction about, hey, we're pursuing truth here. And we're not here to try to impose one niche ideology on the entire student body.
Great. Shifting gears. Dana Lash, you have a question or comment for the governor?
I do. And thank you both so much for your time, for joining us in a very new way. I really appreciate that. I think it's really cool. And for your support of free speech too. And Elon, I have to say thank you for taking the arrows and for unthrottling the accounts of all of us who got in trouble for sharing a New York Post story about a laptop. And Governor, I wanted to thank you for your leadership and your unwavering support of Second Amendment rights. And you're on my program tomorrow, and I just got to say, you got my vote in the primary, so I appreciate it very much. You were talking about DEI just a minute ago, and I want to ask you both about this growing threat against natural rights and free enterprise. It's this threat of debanking. Now, I know that, Elon, I've read so much about you and what you've gone through. You've called ESG criteria evil incarnate. Governor DeSantis, Florida, saw financially weaponized wokery earlier this year when Wells Fargo Bank dumped both the business and personal accounts of a very prominent and well-respected gun dealer in Florida. They'd been together for 25 years working with Wells Fargo, and they cited new ESG guidelines. Now, similar to the DOJ's previous Operation Choke Point, all these activists for various causes are using this regulatory guidance to debank what they consider to be politically incorrect businesses for the sake of risk management. Now, we say that our rights should not be infringed upon by the government, but what can and should be done about activist-guided financial institutions and these payment processors who are essentially cutting off law-abiding citizens and businesses?
Well, I think it's a fundamental issue that I think not enough conservatives have been wise to. I think more and more are, but at the end of the day, we have certain fundamental rights. And so maybe you're somebody that is, really excited about your Second Amendment rights. And obviously, if the government comes in and infringes that, we know you blow the whistle on that. That's a problem. But what if Wall Street banks are colluding so that somebody can't function in that space, whether it's running a store or anything involving that? Your rights are still being infringed upon in that situation. And so I think this whole ESG movement is really trying to do through the financial sector what they could never achieve through the ballot box. And so they're trying to do an end run around the constitutional system, and they're really trying to change policy. They're trying to change society, and they're trying to change the scope of people's rights. And so in Florida, I just signed anti-ESG legislation, which said things like no ESG criteria in our pension fund. We got a $180 billion state pension fund, no social credit scores for consumers when they're going to bank. In other words, if you apply for a loan, that loan should be judged based on your credit worthiness, not whether you're genuflecting to the appropriate left-wing causes. But one thing we did do is we did provide protection against this debanking with the woke banking. No discrimination based on your religion and other things, which we know is happening. So I think it's a fundamental question, but we will not be a free society if major financial institutions can do through the economy what people could not achieve through the ballot box. Our rights will be restricted, will be the end result, and that's not healthy for a free country.
As a follow-up to that, Governor, Dana mentioned Operation Choke Point, and that is a term that's very familiar to crypto companies in Silicon Valley and fintech companies. Basically, it refers to an effort by the federal government, including the SEC, to basically regulate blockchain and crypto companies out of existence. They really feel like they're being driven out of the country. And I'm not talking about scammy ones or the totally fake ones like FTX, but really high quality, good companies, including companies that are public like Coinbase. And these guys are basically begging the government for just a framework. They're just like, tell us how to operate legally and we'll do it. I guess where do you come down on this? What is your view, I guess, broadly of Bitcoin and people's right to hold Bitcoin and to transact Bitcoin?
And Dogecoin.
You have every
Good
right
question.
to do Bitcoin. The only reason these people in Washington don't like it is because they don't control it. And they're central planners, and they want to have control over society. And so Bitcoin represents a threat to them. And so, as you're saying, they're trying to regulate it out of existence. Look, could Congress enact a statute to ban things like Bitcoin under the Constitution? They may be able to do. I would oppose that. I think people should be able to do Bitcoin. But Congress has never addressed this in this fashion. And for the bureaucracy to just do it on their own and make it so people can't operate in that space, that's what we mean when we say we've got to return the government to the people's elected representatives who are our voice to be able to make these decisions. And so as president, we'll protect the ability to do things like Bitcoin. I think these are people that are sophisticated. They can make decisions. There's risks involved with it, but let them do that. I just do not have an itch to have to control everything that people may be doing in this space. And I think that the current regime, clearly, they have it out for Bitcoin. And
sounds almost libertarian.
4 years, they'll probably end up killing it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that is the strong feeling of people in Silicon Valley who are in this space. And I think we'll be heartened to hear your answer on that. I mean, the weird thing is that, and there is a huge constituency of crypto Twitter. So for people who are maybe part of political Twitter who are wondering why we're talking about this, it really has a big audience for this topic.
Dogecoin too, I just want to emphasize.
Yeah, Bitcoin and Dogecoin. So shout out to all the Doge fans out there. Yeah. But the weird thing is that this administration They seem to want to ban Bitcoin, but they want to create a CBDC, which stands for a central bank digital currency. What's your take on that?
So we were the first state just last month. We actually got the Florida legislature to pass a law that says Florida does not recognize central bank digital currency, because some states were actually adding that to their uniform commercial code. The federal government's studying this. We did the opposite and say we didn't. Now, the reason why we did that is because what the Federal Reserve has said is, well, we're going to consult with Congress. We'll consult with the executive branch. We don't have a CBDC right now. And ideally, we would get authorization for Congress. Well, wait a minute. It's not ideally. You must get authorization from Congress. I don't think Congress would authorize it. So if they unilaterally try to do this, we're trying to provide protection for people here in Florida. I know Biden did the executive order. They're studying it. I can tell you, if I'm president, we are not doing a central bank digital currency. I think that would be a huge, huge imposition on people's financial freedoms and financial privacy. And oh, by the way, what would the logical result of this be? If the central authority has oversight over this, of course they're going to start imposing ESG criteria. Oh, wait a minute. You filled up your gas tank 3 times this week. You can't do any more. The sky of how they would be able to manipulate this. So I see it as a massive transfer of power from individual consumers to a central authority. And I don't think that that's good for a free society. So I'm a no on central bank digital currency.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Governor, I want to thank you for the time. We could go for hours here, but I know you only had an hour and we've gone over that. So I want to be respectful of your time. I know there's so many people who want to ask questions, and we should do it again. I mean, I think it was fun. I think this is great. And we'll make sure that that we come back and do it again. This is a great platform. I mean, I would like to see other platforms going in the same direction, but a healthy democratic society needs the robust debate. So I just want to thank everybody for listening in, and I'll just make that pitch again. We want you on the team. We'd love for you to go to rondesantis.com and make a donation so that we can get this done on this nomination and win the election in November of 2024. God bless everybody, and thank you. Well, thanks, Governor. And yeah, we have over 300,000 people in the room. It's really been pretty incredible. And, we started with some technical issues because of the sheer scale of and unprecedented nature of what we were doing. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I think this finished really strong. So,
yeah, I think it's just really great for the people to hear directly from presidential candidates and to have it in a conversational tone. Which obviously results in, it's going to be imperfect because it's not scripted. So, but it's genuine. And I think that really gives the people an opportunity to understand who might be their president in a way that's real. So thank you very much for coming on and doing this.
And the invitation's open to any other candidates who might want to do this.
Absolutely.
That was for Trump's benefit.
Directly from candidates. So thank you for working with us on this historic event, and looking forward to future conversations and just having a great national dialogue.
All righty, everybody. Thank you for just.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, Ruben, if you want to take that down.
Yep.
And while he's doing that, this is my partner in crime for the evening, Ruben Christopher Haynes of the Orlando, Florida area. I am Brian Trippett, the Front Porch Conservative. We have been covering the announcement of Ron DeSantis running for president, and also the question and answer session that happened afterwards. They had, as they alluded to at the beginning, they had a lot of technical problems on their end, just simply because of the number of people. I think originally they had, 600,000 people in that Twitter space room, and it was quite amazing. We had we had some technical problems on my side of it. So for people out there who are watching, I apologize. Ruben saved the day as far as the volume of being able to hear this thing. So thumbs up to you, brother. I appreciate you bailing me out.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going to throw it to you. For the parts of it that we got to hear, what do you think? What are your comments? And then we'll just play it back and forth for a little while.
He said everything that he needed to say, and he said it in a way that he was in a friendly space. Elon was a friendly interview. Everybody that that asked him a question was a friendly question. So it was a very softball interview. It wasn't hard. Then there was no pressing on things. The questions he answered in a certain way. The only one that did a jab per se against Trump was Steve Deace and the whole idea of building a wall, make it strong, all the stuff that Trump said. But again, his whole DeSantis' whole aspect was, well, I did it here in Florida. I can do it everywhere. No, it's not true. There are different things that are done in different areas. Yes, and the idea that if he had just laid back, or if Trump had announced him as a VP and then he gave that same speech, that would have been a good thing. Because again, nationally, Trump plays well, and then on the domestic stage, it would be Biden. I'm sorry, it's not Biden. So it would be DeSantis. DeSantis would be the more on the domestic side. So that's the whole thing. But yeah, it's true. Typical boring campaign junket. Yeah.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
It was just milquetoast in a that regard. There's nothing flashy, nothing. No, there's nothing that, again, this will be remembered as the first announcement on Twitter, but it's just as simple as, hello, are you there, Watson? It's nothing big.
Yeah.
Nothing large.
Yeah, for my part, I started noticing very early on, it's like, okay, you expect in a situation like this, if you have a Q&A, that the candidate is going to get a friendly crowd and is going to get, very friendly questions, maybe not deliberately intended that way. The problem with this was they call it Twitter space. We may as well call it safe space, because I think you're absolutely right. Elon and the moderators set him up with a very softball situation. And granted, it's a campaign launch, so I get that part of it. But it became painfully obvious the further this thing went that these people are being handpicked in advance. And you notice their questions were deliberately topical. It's not like one person's question overlapped another on the same subject. They were going from subject to subject to subject to subject. And all these were strengths of DeSantis subjects.
Yes.
Education, taking on woke, taking on DEI, etc.
Right.
I mean, I agree with Elon Musk that this is a historic moment. I'm kind of like you. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's going to be recognized beyond the question of Watson, come here, I need you.
Right.
But, for its time and what it is truly innovative. I'll give Musk and DeSantis campaign credit for that. I'm kind of like you. I think there is an enormous difference between governing in Florida when you have Republican majorities in the legislature and fellow Republican constitutional office holders, an attorney general, etc. It's a whole lot easier to get things done than having to deal with 535 cranky old folk, up in Washington, D.C.
And the only, how do you call it again? The only expertise per se that he's dealing with the bureaucracy is bureaucracy of Disney. And now he's in a fight with Disney. So then they're countersuing, they're doing this, doing that. And then you have the news media that's citing on Disney and trying to go against him and calling, they brought up the whole Time magazine, what they're trying to do and how they're trying to frame it. So it's an uphill battle. It's uphill battle. And again, it's just going to be a really hard fight no matter what. And again, if it's an honest fight, then yes, let's go to Iowa. And then at Iowa, if he doesn't show up at all, then let's escape. What's done, let's end it. Yeah. You got all the other people that are doing it. Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Vivek, whoever that guy named Ramashi, his name is. He got
Ramaswamy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? You don't even know who the person is. And it's like if this is just an application for a Trump, a cabinet position or VP, so be it. But it's soft launch. And it's a wait and see attitude, but let them fight. That's how it should be. There should be good debate. I mean, this is not a debate. This is a town hall. But again, I wish there was more pointed questions.
Well, and you mentioned the idea: is this like a trial run,
Yeah.
or an audition for the vice president slot? I would agree with you, but my counter to that is he could have had that without doing this.
Correct.
If look, regardless of how he feels about Trump personally or politically, if DeSantis keeps his head down, even if he doesn't give a full-throated endorsement of Trump, okay, keep your head down, stay out of it, don't make waves. Trump would have, I think, looked at DeSantis and said, you know what? Here is my heir apparent. Here is the successor to the MAGA movement.
Right.
Our styles are different. The way we communicate is different, but the end goals would have been the same. As he was wrapping that up, I started thinking to myself, what a shame. And those are the three words went through my, what a shame that these two heavyweights, and I'll give DeSantis that name, that title for the moment. It's a shame that two heavyweights like Trump and DeSantis are going to slug on each other, and whereas they could have worked together. Because honestly, I think even after the primaries, if Trump goes on to win it, which frankly I think he's going to, there are going to be people who are going to say, well, you should pick DeSantis for the VP. He was the strongest challenger. He's the one that pushed you the hardest. I think it's off the table.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it is off the table for DeSantis. And, I'm like you at the very beginning of this when we started it. I just don't understand why he is throwing it away this young and this early.
Yeah.
I mean,
too green.
Yeah, he might go on, regardless of what happens here. Or let's just say he doesn't win the nomination, which I think is a distinct possibility. He might go back to Congress like Charlie Crist did. He might even go on to a U.S. Senate seat, maybe a cabinet position somewhere down the line. But that's as far as he's going to get. That's as good as it's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, again, what a shame. It shouldn't have to come down to this.
Yep. Very true.
And yeah, I agree with you on the illegal aliens question. I'm like you, Robert. I wasn't all that. It's just kind of a milquetoast standard boilerplate Republican kind of answer. It really was. Yeah. But, it is what it is. It just, there's one other observation that I'll make with regard to DeSantis. I mean, you've always heard the old adage, you can't legislate morality. Well, apparently DeSantis never got that memo because he doesn't mind trying to do it. Now you can agree with what he's doing, you can disagree with what he's doing, but he has not an ounce of problem whatsoever putting forward legislation and trying to move it to the finish line where he's signing it, where, okay, this is our view of how we think the world ought to be. We're going to put it into law.
Right.
So,
but that goes to my whole. Well, I didn't even told you this, but my whole idea, the fact that the pendulum swings from left to right, and I don't want it to go right too far, because again we'll get the whole banning everything again.
Agreed.
No, we're not doing that. So that's the whole thing. So again, I don't want to see a fake fight in a way. This is how it is. It's basically because again, everyone's fighting, and the people that are fighting right now in the government, everything that's what's going on, is this a show? Is this a show that's pointless? We want real results.
Yeah,
and that everyone has to get out. It's too lucrative, and it's not the 535 he has to deal with. It's the lobbyists, the bureaucracy.
Yeah,
get rid of it. And again, I wish someone had said, "What do you think about the FBI, the DOJ, all this? What has to be done?" And he didn't. That wasn't asked. That would have been a good thing.
That would have been a great question.
And with all that's going on again, right? We in the news with the testimony of the FBI whistleblower and how the FBI is. How would you address the FBI? That's would have been a great question. Wasn't asked. Again, topical. You're talking about stuff in the back. Well, someone said this and that. You didn't lock down. The COVID thing is over. We know where they were. We know who did what.
Right here.
Don't talk about
right here. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I mean, the closest that he got to the question about what do you want to do, someone said, "What do you want to do about, reining in government agencies?" Well, I want to use the power of the purse, and I want to legislate how, these laws are enforced once they're actually passed into being. Well, and this is different than what's going on now. How?
Right.
I mean, the
And
Congress could do that right now if they wanted to.
yeah, the whole banking thing too. It should basically say that, and again, he was right in the sense that, yeah, they do want to regulate it because they want to control it. But the thing is that he should have said they want to regulate it. They want to regulate everything. And I am going to stand against all this unnecessary regulation and bureaucracy. That's what he should
Yeah.
have said. He didn't say that. It's not just about banking. It's about your way of life, everything that you do with your life and your own body and your own well-being. They want control.
Yeah, and I think that I mean, and maybe I'm being romantically optimistic here, but the more that I look around, the more that I think there is a palpable desire on the part of the American people for a genuine rebirth of freedom. Freedom of what to do with your money, freedom with what to do with your family, freedom with what to do, what you believe in and what you can talk about and what you can, et cetera, and down the line. I mean, it's not just the performative, going through the motions of what, we as Americans have always known as far as, the things that we hold to and believe in. But I think there's a genuine desire to get back to the idea that by God, we are a free people, and my freedom allows me, under the law, not license, liberty,
right,
but allows me under the law to live my life a certain way. And so long as I'm not bothering you and I'm not trespassing on you or the law, I can live in peace.
Right.
And if that message is driven home by DeSantis or Trump or whoever is running, or even RFK Jr., if you get right down to it, that I think is going to strike a chord with people, and they're going to be like, "That's my guy."
Right. The thing is that if it holds true that the Democrats are not going to have debates and they're not going to have anything like that, then people are going to want to look toward the Republicans, what they're going to do. But again, as soon as Iowa hits, so we have the lead ups to the debates, we have to solidify around the candidate really quickly, because again, the fight is not going to be whoever the Republican candidate is and whoever if it's Biden or whatever, I don't know. The point is, it's a ground game. The
Exactly.
2024 is going to be a shit show because ballot harvesting or whatever, or not the ballot harvesting, they do ballot harvesting, not that we're going to do it. We have to get a ground game going. Florida,
Agreed.
Texas, everywhere has to have ground game. And I made an observation this morning. I put it on Twitter.
I saw it on Twitter. Yeah,
but it's true. Again, that's what they're doing, because again, in my opinion, Anheuser-Busch is doing this on purpose, and it's all about the data. Someone shorted the stock and it's making money right now, and everything, Target, Bud Light, and then we're gonna see it all next month. The Pride Month. Okay, it's gonna be like they look at the data. Where is this message not being touted? And then they're gonna flood that area to try and find the votes. And then, because again, it's state by state. We have an electoral college. So they're going to look at the whole breakdown, data analytics. Where is Bud Light not selling? Where is Target getting in trouble? Where are the things failing? Again, if an area is collapsing, then they're going to come and saying, see, they don't want you here. That's why because they did it in Chicago when I think it was Walmart left. They blamed Walmart for leaving because they're racist. And it's because, again, their crime is so terrible, but they craft the words. So that's why I'm saying looking at the data is critical. It's all about data analytics. It's all about, and it gets a ground game. That's why I was thinking about it. We have 2020, we had the census. 2030 is the next census, but the map's going to change. And because again, I think Florida gains some senators, and then
they gained some House. They gained some House seats,
not senators, House seats, and then and Illinois lost, and New York lost, California's losing, so things are shifting. So 2030, will be in a reflection of that. I think California will lose more. Illinois will lose definitely. New York will lose definitely, and Texas and Arizona and Florida will gain more. So things will be shifting there. So that will change, and that's a generational change because again, after right after 2020. Right between 2020 because it was already too late. So 2030 will reflect it even more. It'll be a huge change.
Agreed.
So that's 2024, 2028. Yeah, 2028. And then the next, whoever. That's why I'm saying it should have been. He should have waited.
Yeah,
because he would have had a better. He would have had a better shot.
If he waits, the demographics keep shifting. Everything keeps changing, and before you know it, he wins in 28.
Yes,
and I'd say guaranteed landslide in 32.
Correct, because that's what I'm saying. That by that time things would have changed even more, and that's what the saying that people, like I'm saying, people with the stronger states or the states with more population now will be more red.
Oh yeah, and just it just to me this is setting up a situation that never needed to happen. I mean, and just speaking to the event itself, after they got the bugs worked out, I thought it was innovative. I thought it was good, but my one criticism overall is it was way too safe, way too sanitized. He's way too protected. And, if I know Trump and his people, they were watching this whole thing. Matter of fact, Roger Stone had a tweet going out. It's like, well, I don't think for some reason I'm going to get to ask Governor DeSantis a question because he was lurking around in that room. And, Trump and his people have been listening to this whole thing. I will almost guarantee you, if they haven't teed it up already, just wait, give it about another 15 minutes, and they're going to start carpet bombing DeSantis over the stuff he said. Because, I mean, all of it was very innocuous. All of it's very positive.
Yes.
All it's very sanitized.
Yes.
But you know how Trump operates, man. He's going to get a hold of you. He's kind of like that guy gets a hold of you and just in a headlock and he just starts beating on you. It's the best way I know how to describe it off the top of my head.
No, that's true. But because again, the sad fact is politics now is dirty, but dirty in a good way. In the fact that you have to come with your A game. You have to be.
Oh, agreed.
That's the thing. And again, you have to be able to be prepared to answer the questions. And the fact that he acted the way he acted in Tokyo, I believe it was, when he was asking, "Are you running for president?" He's, "I'm not a candidate."
The bobblehead moment.
Yeah, that. I'm like, oh fuck. Then it was he was lying. He was lying then in a way. But again, it all goes down to one thing, or my whole interpretation is the fact that his wife is very involved in this aspect. She wants to be first lady.
Agree. I think that's
what's really irking me in a bit. I want a president to take care of what's going on with my rights. I don't want a couple to become, you're going to be this and that. No, it's not about the guts and glory. We have stuff to go through. We have a lot of things going on. Cities are collapsing. People are hurting. And then we just have to address those things. And this other stuff is not wood.
Yeah, we don't need the Republican version of Bill and Hillary.
No,
which frighteningly, if these two let their ambition overtake them as badly as we think they could, man, this is just frightening for what it could turn into.
True, and that's the thing, and then that's why I'm saying I don't like that aspect of it. And again, and the questions that he got again were very soft. It was just like it was again. Elon took the slings and arrows from the BBC interview. Trump did very well. I swear, if Caitlin Collins did it for DeSantis, it would be very. Who knows what would happen?
Yeah, really.
That's what I'm saying. If CNN asks DeSantis for a town hall, and they do it, and he won't do as well as Trump did.
Oh no, he won't. As a matter of fact, if I had to guess, well, I know that CNN is doing a town hall with Nikki Haley, I think sometime next week, I think.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'll say this. If they somehow convince the DeSantis campaign to let CNN do a town hall with them, I say he gets either Anderson Cooper or he gets Jake Tapper, because they're not going to let Kagan Collins do this again.
No,
They'll never
no,
let her near another one of these for a long time.
No, they won't. But again, will if it does happen and they will they treat him better? Well, of course they'll treat him better in a way, but who knows? I don't know. It's a quandary. But again, that's the whole idea. The whole idea is the fact that Trump is, and again, it's not about Trump. It's never been about Trump. Again, someone said this. I think it was on Charlie Kirk show I heard this morning. They mentioned that people are clamoring for somebody that's not the establishment. Period. We don't want somebody who's part of the old boys club. Trump was that, and Trump still is that, because he's getting the slings and arrows, and they're still trying to basically sit the Georgia still thing going on, and all these other things are going on. And again, they did this to the Canadian truckers, debanking them. They're going after Elon for that. But again, this was more like that's the battle, and this was just a safe space. Hey, we're here to talk. But again, yeah, you're launching it. It's a campaign launch and an interview or a little town hall. But you need a real hard hitting town hall, real questions on both sides, a real debate has to happen. Until that hasn't happened, and we're going nowhere.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I will be fascinated to see what happens come August, which is supposedly the first debate among the declared Republican candidates for president. Now there's some question as to whether Trump even participates in this, but and I can understand the argument.
Right.
Yeah, you're 30 to 40 points ahead of everybody else. Do you really need to get down in the mud with everybody?
True.
On the other hand, I think you ought to do it for one very simple reason. It wouldn't take but maybe 2, maybe 3 debates at the most. And DeSantis is going to make a verbal slip, and Trump's going to tag him. It's like that. It's like 2 prize fighters in the ring. Mm-hmm. One guy lets his gloves down just enough, and the other dude just slips in with a hook.
Right.
And that's what Trump's going to do to him.
Yeah.
And if he does that, it's kind of going to be like when Trump tagged Jeb Bush low energy Jeb, or Little Marco, or Lion Ted. Once Trump gets a tag on you,
it's over,
brother. You're done. Yeah, and Robert's got a real good point.
Yes,
he's got a real good point here.
Yeah,
Trump TV is good TV. They're going to be practically begging him to be in these debates.
Right. And because the thing is that, and again, when we had that CNN town hall and any other town hall or any interview he's ever had has always been combative. It's always been debative. And yet he basically counterpunches.
Yep.
And again, he has not counterpunched at all.
Yeah.
Or I haven't seen DeSantis do a counterpunch.
No. And that's the other thing about the debates that I think will be interesting, because and this is not necessarily my observation, but I think it starts becoming true. I saw a tweet by Jeremy Grimes from D-Day Cobra. He said, "Oh my God, I never realized how boring Ron DeSantis was until now." But he goes to something else. People have made the observation about DeSantis, for all his technical brilliance, he's awkward. You put him on a debate stage, he comes across as somebody, it's almost like he's Nixon reincarnate in one respect. Because, historians will remember about Richard Nixon, very awkward socially.
Right.
Even when he was finally won the presidency in 1968, very awkward. He didn't have a good relationship with the press. He was just awkward socially. DeSantis almost has that same kind of thing going on. And if you put him on a debate stage with somebody like Trump, who's just walks in, fast, loose, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. Yeah, glad to be here. What's that contrast going to look like beside a Ron DeSantis?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the thing. It's just, again, and it goes back to the whole video. It was whole like, because again, when Trump does a video, he does it where he's just like the indictment video that came out a
Yep.
while back. It's just him walking. It's not
Yeah.
staged. He's just walking. He just acts normally. And then you saw Ted Cruz do that where he came off disingenuous. You had DeSantis, the video. It seemed like he was walked to a certain point. Okay, stand there. Now walk out. Now do this.
Yeah.
And it seemed very
I'm hitting my
choreographed.
marks.
Choreographed.
As they used to say in old Hollywood, I'm hitting my marks.
Right.
You know, I hit my marks on the floor, I move to my next mark. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I can take that right because I myself, when I talk and speak, I never have any prepared words. I don't like prepared words. It's stupid. You speak truth to yourself, and then if you slip up, you slip up. Yeah, very robotic.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's the thing, and that whole aspect where it's, you know, where you watch your words, you don't say what you want to say, you try and come off a certain way. No, and again, I've dealt with that in the corporate world, but I'll tell it like it is. You know, that's how I am. I'm not gonna milk toast it or water it down.
Yeah. This is what's setting up for the next 6, 7, 8 months is going to be very fascinating to watch. It's just about the top of the hour now, so it might be a good point at which to end it. Ruben, thank you for being here tonight, brother. I genuinely appreciate it, and thank you again for bailing me out on the audio.
No, I anytime I really appreciate you and what you've done here, and I love your morning brunches on the weekends. I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you done, and in the videos, everything you've done in the last few months that I've seen here, and it pops up, and I'm going, yeah, I like this stuff.
Well, brother, tell everybody where they can find you. Where are you at on social media? Let's get some people out there looking at your stuff. So give everybody your coordinates.
Yeah, I have my Ruben Christopher Haynes is my main channel. So it's my main channel where I'm on. Everyone sees that. But I also have my weight loss channel. My weight loss channels, and links are always in my other in my description where you can find them. It's my weight loss quest, and every day I put out a weight loss video. I'm now at 425 today. From 650, I'm really going down fast.
Hell yes.
Yeah. So, and then, I'm just trying to figure it out. And then I'm looking for work. I'm looking for a place to live. I'm looking all this stuff, just trying to figure out what my life's going to be next. So, but everything's there. Instagram, Twitter. I have my OG Twitter account is back. Thank you, Elon Musk.
All right.
So at Ruben Haynes, just that's me. Because I never had a username. It's just me. It's just, I always put my name.
Well, sir, again, thank you for being here. I genuinely appreciate it. For those who might be out there watching this either live or later on, after the recording is done, I'm Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I've got channels on YouTube and Rumble. I've got Twitter account, the Front Porch C1. So please check me out. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, please do so. If you're not a subscriber to Ruben's channels, sub to this man. Give this brother some love. We thank you very much for being with us tonight. This has been a blast. We're going to do this stuff again. Ruben, we're going to have you back on sometime because, brother, we could have all kinds of fun roundtables and get some more people involved with it. So,
yeah, exactly.
Everybody, thank you. Good night. Ruben, hang around. We'll say our proper goodbyes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping by. We genuinely appreciate it. You have a good night.
Good.
And if I can, there we go.